this game ends up going the distance here, simply because... Welcome to Overgrowth for Game 3 of this potential best of 9 games. Well, it is best of 9, but potential 9 games in this series featured in the King of the Hill event, sponsored by DingItTV. Ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the bottom left-hand position, representing TeamLiquid.net. He's currently 2 games down, but he's an incredibly solid and very capable player. Let's see if he can bounce back on this map. It is Mana. His opponent spawning in the top right, representing my insanity as the yellow Zerg player. He's won 2 King of the Hill events already. He is reveling in this format. And right now, he is 2-0 up. He's going to be feeling on top of the world right now. But a 3-0 lead is very, very possibly on the horizon here. Can he do it? It's Petraeus. Alright, so another gateway opening coming out from Mana. Nothing really changing up here. We can see the early drone scout from Petraeus as well to make sure he's not doing anything silly or anything particularly funky. And that is going to confirm to Petraeus that, oh, actually, nothing too out of the ordinary is happening this game. He's gone for the hatch first this time around. There was no pesky probe around to block it. And the spawning pool comes down straight afterwards from Petraeus. And it looks like he's going to be keeping a hold of this gas as well to go ahead and try and get some early map control with that Zergling speed. This probe, in the meantime, once again, like we've seen in previous games from Mana, is just going to be chilling at the third base location to see if any sort of sneaky, greedy early game play is being used here on Overgrowth. And in the meantime, this probe is going to be trying to close off this gap. Of course, there are no offensive forces to speak of yet for our Zerg player, so it's not absolutely pressing. Cybernetic Core once again part of the wall off here. And we've already seen it sniped off once in this series. Are we going to be seeing a second instance of this on Overgrowth? I don't know, but we will find out. Now, really, when you've lost 2 games, and you've kind of lost them in similar fashion, if you think about it. Mana played both of those games where he tried to do some stuff in the early game. His aggression didn't work, and he was basically denied taking a third base. In game number 1, it was true after a Sentry Immortal push. In game number 2, it was true after a 3-gate pressure. So he has to do one of 2 things right now. He goes, either I start being even more aggressive and I end the game as quickly as possible on 2 bases, which can happen. Or he says, I need to be more solid in my defense, I need to have more units out, I need to prevent Petraeus from doing these counterattacks that he seems to be getting into my head with so far, and make sure I can hold down a third base. Either of those scenarios would be great for Mana right now, but in the first 2 games he hasn't been able to pull that off, and that's really been his weak point. So we'll see if he can turn those fortunes around. We have a third base now going up for My Insanity's Petraeus. And, Zerglings are going to go in and try and get a scout off. Really nicely done there. Perhaps running them in the face of the Stalker and Mothership Core wasn't the best idea Petraeus has ever had. He won't really be able to see anything, unfortunately, inside the main base. So he's going to have to move this Overlord in, perhaps a little earlier than he otherwise would like. And the Forge is going down in the back here. So there's no Stargate or Twilight Council just yet. When will... Oh, he actually sees that Overlord, and I wonder... No, he's not going to be sending a Stalker after it, but he could have, to be honest, for a moment there. And now we have some pretty aggressive offensive Zerglings here. Just trying to patrol the area around the third base, making sure he hasn't actually missed out anything. Has he scouted the top left corner? He has not scouted the top left corner, so he seems pretty confident that there are no hidden buildings there from Mana. These Zerglings, doing a great job of trying to pick off this pylon while this Stalker holds onto the wall over here. In fact, the Stalker's going to go down pretty soon as well. We need to see a force field. Oh, he couldn't have left that any later. 4 hit points on that Stalker. Man, you're making us sweat here, Mana. And the pylon goes down as well. So we're going to have to see a backup pylon. These Zerglings are doing such an incredible job. A Stalker goes down as well, and he gets out with 2 of them. He's going to be able to come back and scout at a later date. Fantastic. a bit of a skirmish in the early game here from Petraeus. The pylon being rebuilt on the outside, exactly where it was taken out there from Mana. And Petraeus is just looking so comfortable with this kind of play in the early game. Once again, we have the layer coming out from him, so we'll be looking for that later game Muta switch. Once again, we have the robotics facility coming out from Mana. He needs to do something differently, and this game, he's going to try and hold on to this third base. So we were talking, guys, if you remember before, about whether or not Mana was going to try and end this game on 2 bases, or whether he was going to try and hold on to 3. It looks like the answer is he's going to try and hold on to 3 here. And these counterattacks from Petraeus aren't getting through this time around. We have a cannon up behind this wall now. Maybe a little bit cheeky trying to skip out on that earlier, but it's there now. That's the point. And we have a Twilight Council going down as well in the natural expansion. And note that this robotic facility isn't pumping out models this time around. We're going to be moving a couple of observers out around the map. So Mana this time, he's being a lot more solid and thinking about the long-term game. And this Overseer will spot that at least it's not producing anything and not being chrono boosted. So at the very least, Mana isn't rushing to any sort of attack here. And of course, the third base also gives that away. But always good to check to see if your opponent's continuing to chrono boost those units out. Now, back on the Zergy side of the map, interesting things are happening. We have an infestation pit going down in the third base location, so in a reasonably hard to spot location, and ooh, was that clicked on? So the building has been seen, the infestation pit has been seen by that hallucinated Phoenix. I don't know if Mana clicked on it and knows what building it is, though. I mean, he can suspect. So we'll keep an eye on what he does with that. He's moving out with a small army, and by small, I mean a stalker that's currently hobbling on 2 out of its 4 legs, and a bunch of sentries. Oh god, this is going to be a massacre! This is going to be a massacre! Yes, the sentries can force field themselves in, but look how low on hit points they are. He has to recall. Yes, he does recall. Oh, that was not a good engagement for Mana. I like how he was poking and prodding, but that's not a good way of keeping your Zerg opponent in his base, because once you recall, you cede map control to him. Petraeus now knows that his opponent's nowhere out on the map because he had to recall back to a Nexus. So he's free to go ahead and defend and take this gold base as well. And I feel like Mana, every time he gets into position where he's like, yes, I'm now solid, I feel like this is a good position, he overextends a little bit. And as long as he stops doing that, I actually think he's in a really solid position against Petraeus. But you do that once, twice, and sort of like the second or third time you do it in a game, the advantage you're giving to your opponent from doing that could end up steamrollering. And I feel it might end up steamrolling in this case for 2 reasons. One, because this gold base is now being taken from Petraeus, and there isn't really an answer from Mana at the moment, even though Mana's comfortable on 3 bases. And 2, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, because of the swarm hosts that are now coming out onto the field. This is giving Petraeus time to put swarm hosts out and to slowly get the number of swarm hosts he has up to the number where, I don't know, you're realistically starting to worry your opponent, and it's very difficult then to push out. So we're talking like 12, 13 swarm hosts plus, where those locusts just become an absolutely massive pain. And for this reason, I actually think Petraeus is getting into a better and better position in this game. Because if we take a look, Enduring Locust is about to complete. We've already got 8 swarm hosts on the field. The backup Spire is coming in, so I wonder if he's gonna... Is he switching into mutas before he gets that number of swarm hosts even? That's interesting. With the 1-1 investment, I would expect some more swarm hosts out on the field. But let's keep an eye on that. Mana has opted to go for double Robo with the robotics base, so we're going to be seeing double Colossus come out of this, and he's going to need the DPS damage in a bit because the main army is popping out here, but we're going to see some Swarm Hosts and Locusts kind of chilling out in the natural expansion third base area. Oh, he needs to be careful! Oh my goodness, that could have so nearly been all of the Swarm Hosts dying there. A little bit of a misstep by our Zerg player, but Petraeus does survive it. It's okay. These Locusts now chase Liquid Mana back into his third base location, and we have got the double Robo about to complete as well. So we're going to get a lot of splash damage from Colossi, and we're going to get it very quickly. That's always a fantastic antidote to these Locusts, but here's the issue. Petraeus is thinking ahead here. Yes, these Colossi are going to be fantastic, but what is he going to do about Mutalisks? And this is a major switch, ladies and gentlemen. 17 Mutas were built just now, and we're going to see a lot of them on the field. And this could end up being a massive, massive problem. There is no way, as things currently stand, for Mana to deal with these 17 Mutas and deal with the residual ground army. And we're moving into the natural expansion now. Petraeus has decided now is the time to strike. Does Mana have a Mothership Core? Is he going to recall here? Yes, he does recall. Is he going back to this Nexus? He is. This is going to be the showdown, ladies and gents. This fight will likely determine the outcome of the game. We have the Nexus Cannon going down. The Mutas have decided to abandon the fight, actually, at the natural, because he said the Nexus Cannon's gone down here. Your army's also come back. Let me go ahead and absolutely decimate the third base location. Number of workers killed, 20-1 at the moment. And it's 80 drones versus 46 probes. A largely successful attack here from Petraeus, and he does actually survive with a non-zero amount of his ground army as well. So yes, he sacrificed a lot. No, I don't think he sacrificed too much here. The Mutas, crucially, stay alive. And behind this, guys, look, he's taking a fifth base over here as well. This gold base has been mining forever and a day. And the third base for Mana, yes, it's down. Yes, it's well defended. Yes, he kept it up. There's not an awful lot mining here right now, though, and he really needs to get that done ASAP. A Roach and a Zergling, just going to check to make sure a fourth base isn't going down. This Stalker wanting absolutely nothing to do with this fight, and now we have Petraeus harassing the third base location as now. With this Colossus, I think Petraeus will be able to kill something, but definitely not the army. I think he could have picked that gateway off if he wanted to. But it doesn't matter because the Mutas are now moving into the main base. He's attacking every which way at the same time. Now, he needs to be careful he doesn't lose too many of those, as Petraeus is now constantly harassing his opponent. Why is he doing this? Because he knows he's on 2 more bases. So if he stays on 2 more bases indefinitely and just keeps trading for the rest of the game, that's actually fine. But here come the Mutalisks. They're linking up with the rest of the army. And you know what? Colossi and Immortals don't do very well on their own with Mutalisks. The Blink Stalkers need to come in. They just about get there. The Colossus goes down, though. And we have another counterattack with these Locusts going into the natural expansion. One single Colossus is not going to cut the mustard as far as this is concerned. A gateway is definitely going down. No, okay, it's going to stay alive. Fine. But we have a lot of probes that are going down in between the natural and the third. Another pickoff of the Colossus here. And these forces from Mana are really fragmented. He's now down 50 supply. But the Swarmers and the Mutas are both here. If both of these groups of units die now, and the Swarmers are going to die now, then this could give an opening for Mana to go for a massive counterattack. The Mutas are now inside the main base. A lot of workers are being killed, down to 42 workers versus 78 right now. The workers kill tab shows 43-1. But is Mana going to be able to pick off the Mutas? If he does, this counterattack potentially could be huge from the Protoss player. He kills a few of them, but not too many. There are still 18 on the field, a sizable force. Is Mana going for a counterattack now? I almost feel like he has to. The Robotics Bay is actually going to get nibbled to death. This army won't get back in time, and there we go. Colossus says bye-bye. GG! My Insanity's Petraeus, ladies and gentlemen. This has never happened yet on a hot seat night. He's gone 3-0 up. This is huge against Liquid Mana. Well played to Petraeus. And now, well, that molehill that Mana had to climb is very quickly becoming a mountain.